Hey everybody, welcome back to the Vince Salerno podcast. This is episode 81. As always, I'm your host, Vince Salerno, and yes, I'm back after a brief hiatus. I unintentionally took all of July off from the podcast, and I think it's something I might actually do more often in the future. It's just nice to have a nice, long break from everything, and I think that will help me to stay more productive, more on top of this podcast in the future, having that nice long break in the middle of the year, with the exception of, Christmas and other holidays like that. So, yeah, it was nice, but I missed recording the podcast, and now I'm happy to be back. There is a lot that went down, so let's just get right into it, everything that went down since I've been gone that I wanted to talk about. First off, let's catch up. 2 episodes ago, I talked about Disney and the state of Moana 2 and my feelings going into Inside Out 2. Now, I have a lot more to say about Moana 2. I have some interesting information on that movie that I've been sitting on that I am going to talk about in a future episode. But I want to talk about specifically Inside Out 2 because something really cool happened. One, the movie was good. Not just good, it was refreshingly good. It was classic Pixar like we have not gotten in a long time. Not since, for some, they might say Soul. That was the last Pixar movie that I really enjoyed. For others, maybe Toy Story 4. Or even going as far back as Coco. Inside Out 2 is such a refreshingly fun and, for lack of a better term, emotional movie. And it's now become the highest grossing animated movie of all time, beating out even Frozen 2. And what shocked me was, given where Disney is culturally, the fact that they can still pull that off is incredible. One, that Pixar can pull off good storytelling, and two, that Disney is not so far gone that they cannot pull off these numbers. And that's honestly a good sign to see, because I don't think people, as I've said before, people don't want to just screw off Disney by hope you die a painful death. People want to enjoy Disney movies. People want to support good movies, whether they come from Disney or elsewhere. And the fact that we have a good Disney movie, a good Pixar movie even, that has finally graced our screens after years of a drought of horrible, woke movies, is so refreshing. So this win is such a delight. I'm so happy to say that I enjoyed the movie, and I'm so happy to see it doing well. And we continue to see Disney being successful, and even more so Marvel Studios, with the release of Deadpool and Wolverine, which I also saw this past weekend, and I really enjoyed. Such a fun movie. I'll have more to say on that in the coming weeks. I'll say a little bit about Deadpool Wolverine while we're catching up. I love the movie. I won't talk about spoilers, but needless to say, there are a ton of cameos and references and nods to the 20th Century Fox era of Marvel and X-Men. Not even just the X-Men movies, but anything that 20th Century Fox owned that was Marvel gets referenced in this movie in some way or another. It is a love letter to that era of Marvel, and almost a nice emotional send-off, as some of these characters are as some of these characters enter the Marvel Cinematic Universe, specifically Deadpool and Wolverine. Hugh Jackman is always great as Deadpool. I'm not a big fan of the Deadpool character. I like Deadpool. I don't love him. He's just not my brand of superhero, but I do find him to be hilarious at times, and he continues to be hilarious. And this iteration of the character, this movie iteration of the character, continues to be endeared with a lot of heart and emotion. It's not just a yuck fest with Deadpool. Each movie has a strong level of emotion and a heart and a message at the center. Especially Deadpool 2. I'm a big fan of Deadpool 2. This one was made even better because it features one of my favorite characters in superhero Marvel history, Wolverine. I love Wolverine. I love Hugh Jackman's portrayal of the character, and he had such a great send-off in Deadpool, or in Logan. I adore Logan. I think it's a great send-off for that character, and I will say that this movie does not, at least, it does not undo anything that movie did. And it has a, I don't want to say reverence to that film, but it definitely has some I don't know what the right word to say without spoiling it, but there is definitely some irreverence and reverence to Logan in this movie. But this is a new version of Wolverine. This is a brand new variant of Wolverine that we've never seen before, which allows the audience to see things we've never seen from the character, and allows Hugh Jackman to play a slightly different version of what we've seen from him as Wolverine, which bodes well for the future of this franchise and the future of this character. So there's just a lot of exciting things to pull from this movie. It is definitely earning its place at the box office. It's it's not woke. It doesn't reference or have any allusion to the woke bullcrap that has been plaguing our movies. And if anything, it makes fun of wokeness. And I think this, to me at least, shows that Kevin Feige may be paying attention to The Room. And he's reading The Room. He's reading fans. He knows that wokeness is not going to be something that will continue to bring audiences into the box office. It just won't. And I think even more so, to give Feige credit, I said that Marvel and, Lucasfilm have, just totally succumbed to wokeness, and they're going to pay a heavy price for it. And I think they already have. But I feel like Kevin Feige, at the very least, he'll never publicly admit this, I think. But I think at the very least, he understands that changes need to be made. And as we'll talk about today, I think it's indication that some of those changes are coming, and this is not the last major success we're going to see from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, this could just be because Ryan Reynolds was involved heavily in the making of Deadpool and Wolverine, or it could actually be Kevin Feige listening to fans and giving them what they want through this movie and other future films coming down the road. But I love Deadpool and Wolverine. I think it's a great movie. And if you're old enough to see an R-rated movie, check it out. It's definitely, it'll definitely scratch your superhero itch, which has not been scratched for me in quite some time. And I am so grateful that we got a movie like this, especially one featuring one of my favorite actors playing one of my favorite characters again in such a way. It just, I can't wait to talk about this. Full spoilers. All right, let's talk about the big stuff that happened over the week that I want to get into. Comic-Con 2024 has come and gone, and we've got a couple things that we need to talk about. Not very many, surprisingly. In past years, I feel like I've wanted to talk about a lot that's come out of Comic-Con, and there just wasn't really that much. There was a Doctor Who panel, and we all know how I feel about Doctor Who. It's dead, and it's not coming back. I am surprised they even got a panel at Comic-Con. I tried watching a little bit of the highlights, and I couldn't even bring myself to finish that. So yeah, I just don't care anymore. That show is dead, and I have no hope that it'll come back anytime soon. But before we get into the big news that everyone has surely been talking about, in DC Studios news, some exciting things happened. First off, we got a look at the brand new logo for DC Studios, which is a nod to some of the older comic runs back in the day. Very Marvel-esque in that regard. Marvel has not changed their logo in years, but DC has gone through a couple iterations, and it's nice to see that this logo is harkening back to the roots of DC Comics. I don't know much about the logo and its nature, where it comes from. Not that big of a DC encyclopedia, but it looks cool, and I recognize that it's a classic logo, and I like it. In addition to that, we also got our first teaser trailer for the first piece of content to come out of DC, and that is the teaser trailer for Creature Commandos. Now, Creature Commandos is about Task Force M, and it's led by Rick Flag Sr., who's being voiced and played by, in the DCU, Frank Grillo, and he's been confirmed to be in Superman Legacy as well. I don't know too much about these characters. I thought the trailer was pretty good, mildly entertaining. Looks like it could be a fun time. And that's really all I have to say about it. I like that it's kind of it's not really Suicide Squad, but it's sort of like Suicide Squad in that it's just this wild team of bizarre creatures. There's a robot dude from World War II, it looks like. There's Frankenstein, the Bride of Frankenstein, Weasel, who we all saw from the Suicide Squad. I'm actually not sure if I'm going to be keen on checking this show out. Not because not out of any disrespect for this show or DC, but I don't know. I don't care. This is like a title that I don't really care much about. I just think it's interesting that this is the first thing we're seeing from DC. And the animation is nothing to be like wowed about. It's very, typical 2D animation. It doesn't look like anything special outside of what we've seen in the past from DC animation. Honestly, it looks like it's more in line with anime, with its own little cartoonish flair. I don't know. It'll be fun. It looks fun. I just don't have too much investment in this series, these characters. I like Frank Grillo as an actor, and I'm glad to see him get work. And it looks like he'll be appearing in quite a few DC projects if Creature Commandos and Superman is anything to go off of. So, a decent start out of the gate for DC Studios. Let's see where this leads them. Of course, the official start will be Superman, and I am itching to see our first look at Superman, which will hopefully come in the next several months. But for now, let's get into the thing that we all want to discuss, the Marvel Studios panel for 2024. Marvel made a triumphant return to Comic-Con after kind of on and off being out of Comic-Con. I don't even remember the last time they went, or last time I even covered it. But this was a particularly interesting panel. First off, they only talked about 3 movies: Captain America: Brave New World, the Thunderbolts, and the Fantastic Four. And then they talked about, of course, the next 2 Avengers movies. And I thought that was a little weird. I thought we were going to get a your typical expansive, like that look graph with all the movies, titles that were being announced for years and years to come, especially since we have officially gotten the X-Men sort of introduced into the MCU. We would see an indication that Marvel had an X-Men movie in development, or another Deadpool film, or another Wolverine film. But no, this panel was very restrained and straightforward, which could either be a sign of good things, bad things, or things are being restructured for for audiences to enjoy. And we'll discuss that. So the first thing that was revealed was Captain America Brave New World. Now, we did get a trailer for this in July, so I didn't really have a chance to talk about it on my podcast at all. I thought the trailer was very okay. The only thing that is making me look forward to this movie is Harrison Ford playing the Red Hulk. If he wasn't in this movie, I don't think I would care all that much. I think The Falcon and the Winter Soldier left a very, very bad taste in my mouth. It did not make me more excited. It has not made me excited to see the future of Sam Wilson as Captain America, because they turned the Marvel Cinematic Universe into a racist world where we would not accept a black man as Captain America, and Sam Wilson as this he's playing Captain America, who apparently has a race chip on his shoulder. And that just left a bad taste in everyone's mouth, I think, at least people I talked to who had any hope of wanting to see a Captain America 4 with Anthony Mackie as the lead. And I loved the Falcon. I love the Falcon. I think the Falcon's a great character. I think Sam Wilson's was a great pick to be Captain America, but just the way they chose to portray him and make it primarily about race in America was such a horrible, tone-deaf move. And I'm afraid that this movie is going to continue in that direction. Allegedly, they have been reshooting this movie up the wazoo to make it so that all that has been removed from the film, and that it's more about the paranoia and conspiracy theories, political thriller nature of something akin to The Winter Soldier, which was a much better movie that was not politically biased, but more politically ambiguous and vague. You know, it's these vague concepts that are universal, that everybody can get on board with. That's what made Steve Rogers' Captain America so great to watch. Because, yes, he was preaching American ideals, but they were universal American ideals. Sam Wilson, out of the gate, is telling everybody that they are racist, and that if you don't like a black man being Captain America, you're racist. And nobody has ever said that Sam Wilson should not be Captain America because he's a black man. And anybody who has, yes, that's pretty racist. But to talk down to your audience and say, if you don't like this, you're racist. It was just a horrible miscalculation of introducing this character. And now they have to try to shake that narrative if they want people to embrace Sam Wilson as Captain America. And if they commit to that narrative from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, then I'd say this character is doomed. If they can shake it, and if they can take a more politically ambiguous approach to the character, then I think audiences will warm up to him and embrace him as Captain America. However long he is Captain America, because I am of the opinion that Marvel is going to soft reboot the franchise after these next two Avengers movies. So I don't even think he'll be Captain America for very long, but we'll see. But the panel did give us some decent footage, apparently, some clips of Thunderbolt Ross turning into Red Hulk, and that, again, that's the main appeal, seeing General Ross turn into Red Hulk, seeing Tim Blake Nelson back as the leader, seeing these elements from the Incredible Hulk be reintegrated into the MCU is very exciting, but under the title of Captain America 4 with Anthony Mackie, it just kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth. So honestly, of all the 3 movies coming out from Marvel Studios, it's the one I'm least looking forward to, which is ironic because I love Captain America, but this version of Captain America needs to prove that they need to prove that this character can exist without talking down to audiences about how racist they are. If they can do that, then I think they can expect some potential success from this movie. Next was the Thunderbolts, another movie that has been rewritten and in development, not development hell, but just in development for a long time. They've had this movie locked. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember when they announced it. It had to have been 2020 or 2021. Yeah, actually 2020. Actually, yeah, 2021 or 2022. I think it was supposed to come out this year. And they've been reshuffling, rewriting, retooling the movie. And I think they were able to rewrite enough before camera started rolling. Because I think this movie went into production and almost nobody heard a peep about it, which is quite impressive. I'm excited for this. I like the Captain America espionage spy world that this movie kind of intersects in. You have U.S. agent who was definitely a high point of Captain America the Winter Soldier, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You have David Harbour and Florence Pugh playing Black Widow and Red Guardian from the Black Widow movie. Also, Julie Louis-Dreyfus's character, I forget her name. You have some returning MCU villains who haven't been seen for a couple years coming back. You have Lewis Pullman, who was in Top Gun Maverick, playing the Sentry, aka Bob. He's playing another Bob. I think that's hilarious. His 2 defining roles in his career will both be named Bob. And so, yeah, there's not too much to go off of with this movie. We got to see Red Guardian in his new outfit, which kind of looks horrible. I hope that's not the actual outfit. I hope that he has a much better looking costume in the movie. But I'm excited about this. Apparently there was a lot reworked from the writing stages. And I talk about the fact that I think Kevin Feige is changing things because Captain America Brave New World has been having abysmal test screenings allegedly behind the scenes, and they've been reshooting this. I think they're on their second or third round of reshoots before they came to Comic-Con. They added Giancarlo Esposito's character and reshoots, and I think they had been rewriting the scripts for Thunderbolts to be less woke, according to rumors and reports. I don't remember exactly everything that has been said, but that's kind of the gist of it. And hopefully that's true, that these rumors have been to make the movie more enjoyable for audiences of all ages, of all genders, of all backgrounds, and not be super insulting to anyone or everyone, what have you. We just don't want wokeness in movies because it divides us. And if these things have been taken out to unite the audience, then let's go, which is how it should have been. One movie that has been able to evade all of this discussion up until Tuesday, when production starts, is The Fantastic Four, which has now been titled The Fantastic Four First Steps, which is the official title of the movie, which is supposed to be, there's supposed to be some sort of emotional context to the title that'll be explained in the movie. But the movie, it's also a nod to space exploration, Buzz Aldrin, Neil Armstrong, One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Which, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that title change. I don't know why they couldn't have just kept it at The Fantastic Four. I think that was totally fine. But for what it's worth, it's the title of the movie, and we're just going to have to live with that. But as I said, production begins on Tuesday. Matt Shankman, the director, came on stage to talk about the film. They brought out the cast. I think they got a great cast for this movie. Ebon Moss-Bachrach as the Thing, Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, Human Torch, and Vanessa Kirby, who was one of my top 2 choices to play Invisible Woman, or Sue Storm. And then they got Pedro Pascal to play Mr. Fantastic, and I just think that is one of the worst casting choices you could have made. Not because Pedro Pascal's a bad actor, not because he doesn't deserve to be in the MCU. He just does not have the look and doesn't carry himself in the way that you would think of a Mr. Fantastic. And I just, if they shave the mustache, that'll be at least some sort of goodwill, I think. But I don't know why he was cast, and I guess we'll find out with the performance. I am willing to be proven wrong that Pedro Pascal is not a good choice to play Mr. Fantastic, because they could have done a lot worse. But the whole cast was out. They showed a sizzle reel of test footage that they had developed before production had begun. They showed us, apparently they had the actual Fantasticar, as it will appear in the movie, flying over the audience. So that's really cool. I got to see some pictures of it. I'll put some pictures up here. It's a cool looking car. It's not the traditional Fantasticar, but I'm sure once the Fantastic Four get integrated into the MCU proper, we will see a proper Fantasticar. Because as some of you may not know, this movie is taking place in a different universe, and I believe this film will be about Galactus destroying the Fantastic Four's universe, and half of the movie will take place with them in space, having to evade Galactus and enter into the MCU. Which also makes the discussion of these next 2 movies coming up interesting, considering the nature of those. But Fantastic Four looks good. I'm actually optimistic about that movie. I'm very excited. I like Matt Shankman a lot. I think he did a good job directing. WandaVision, I know that show is not as solid as it could have been story-wise, but I trust that he's going to do a good job with Fantastic Four. Who knows? But that leads us into what was the biggest reveal of the night, which was that officially confirmed, it was rumored last week, but it's been officially confirmed that Joe and Anthony Russo are coming back to direct Avengers 5 and Avengers 6, which is also called Avengers Secret Wars. And Avengers 5 has been on pause for the longest time. That movie was supposed to be the Kang Dynasty, starring Jonathan Majors as Kang, directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. But he dropped out. Jonathan Majors was found guilty of abuse in his relationship, or previous relationship. And the whole Kang thing has just been a mess. And so the plug has been pulled on that whole thing. And that has left Joe and Anthony Russo to do whatever the heck they want with Avengers 5, pending it connects into Secret Wars, which we know is a story that they have wanted to tell, because they've talked about wanting to come back to Marvel to potentially direct Secret Wars. And now they are coming back. And that leads us to the reveal of Avengers 5, which there's no point in sugarcoating it. The title for Avengers 5 was revealed to be Avengers Doomsday, in reference to one of the greatest Marvel villains ever put to comics, Doctor Doom. And who are they going to get to play Doctor Doom? Well, of course, none other than Academy Award winner Robert Downey Jr. They did the unthinkable, the most insane thing they could have done, and they got Robert Downey Jr. back in the MCU, not as Iron Man, or Tony Stark, mind you, as Doctor Doom. Now, this obviously, for you Marvel fans out there, raises a lot of questions. Specifically, how in the hell are they going to explain this? And an easy explanation is, as I alluded to, in the multiverse, anything can happen. There's so many possibilities in the multiverse. And the easy explanation would be that this is a variant of Tony Stark, who, instead of growing up to become Tony Stark and Iron Man, he grew up to become Victor Von Doom, aka Doctor Doom. That's probably the easy explanation, given that this is the multiverse, and you can explain things like that away with, oh, in another universe, Tony Stark didn't become Tony Stark. He had different parents, had a different name, and became Doctor Doom. And he'll be the villain for both Doomsday and Secret Wars, which is incredibly exciting. And it makes sense. I'm not sure if RDJ would have come back just to play Iron Man one more time. And it does bode well for people hoping for Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson to come back playing multiverse versions of Black Widow and Captain America. So we'll see if that's still on the table as well. Now, one thing that I thought about is I don't think this necessarily means that Robert Downey Jr. is not going to play a variant of Iron Man in the movie. He very well still could. And he could be playing two versions of himself. He could be playing Doctor Doom, and he could be playing a variant of Iron Man. But I would imagine that Iron Man variant would not come in until maybe Secret Wars. And you could have two Tony Stark characters going up against each other. Or it's just, look, in the multiverse, anything can happen, and yeah, it just so happens that Robert Downey Jr. looks like Victor Von Doom. Let it go. And that would be a harder sell, I think. But the Russo brothers are smart. I don't think they would just do that. So I'm leaning on the side of that Robert Downey Jr. is playing an Iron Man, Tony Stark variant who becomes Victor Von Doom instead of it just so happens that Robert Downey Jr. is playing a different character, and you just have to let it go that he was Iron Man. I think it's also very exciting that the Russo brothers are coming back because, let's be honest, we don't know anybody else or trust anybody else who could direct these types of movies. And this is a big win for Kevin Feige, for Marvel Studios, and just to capitalize on the success of Deadpool and Wolverine, you gotta capitalize on that in a big announcement. And this was a huge way to show that, yeah, we're not done. We are still firing on all cylinders. So don't you worry. And I'm not convinced per se that Marvel's back and Marvel's saved just because of these announcements. We need to see these movies in order to see just how far Marvel has come from the wokeness of yesteryears, literally last year. You know, they had their worst opening ever with the Marvels. If Captain America is at the very least a decent movie, and if Thunderbolts is really good, and the Fantastic Four is amazing, like, it has to be amazing. I love the Fantastic Four, and I really want that film to be a success. If these films fire on all cylinders, then we'll see. We'll see just how far Marvel has come from the muck and the mire of wokeness. But if these movies come out and it just confirms that there's still more problems at Marvel Studios, that Disney is still doubling down on wokeness, then we've got a problem. But there's a lot, if you follow people like WDW Pro, there's a lot of room to assume that Marvel and Disney are changing things. Now, Lucasfilm, that's another story. As long as Kathleen Kennedy is in charge, I don't think anything's going to change. But Kevin Feige is not Kathleen Kennedy. And I think he has been reading the room. And I think he knows that he has to right this ship if he wants this legacy of Marvel Studios to continue for another 10 years. And again, if these movies are good, whether they've been reworked through reshoots, rewrites, or whatnot, I think it'll show to a lot of fans that Marvel has become a brand to trust again. And if not, then they will continue to reap the losses of millions of dollars for betraying the fans' trust. And if Deadpool and Wolverine is anything to go off of, it shows that Marvel understands what's going on, and they will never, ever, 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 ever go down that path again. But only time will tell. When Marvel has one success, it is never indicative of the future. I've learned that the hard way. So only time will tell. These are exciting announcements. These are exciting developments. Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars. I'm very excited about these things, but only time will tell where it's going to take us. And I've been burned way too many times to just go willy-nilly say, we're back, baby. We'll see. We shall see. And that is all I've got to say about this past week. That's all I've... And that is all I've got to say about this past weekend at San Diego Comic-Con, about James Gunn's DC announcements and catching up from just, what I've been saying in the past about Disney and Inside Out. Again, it's nice to see these little successes. It shows that society might just be healing. And again, I promise I will do another episode on Moana 2. I have some interesting details that I'd like to discuss and reveal with you guys. Thank you all for listening. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get my face in front of the camera this time around. My studio situation is in flux, so hopefully I'll be back on camera in the next episode. But thank you for watching or listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please hit that like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can check out more episodes of the Vince Salerno podcast, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, and give the show a 5-star review if you'd be so inclined. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you tuning in every week or every month, however often you tune in. It really does mean so much to me, you guys' support, and that you enjoy the show. So I will see you guys next time. Thank you for listening or watching. Have a fantastic day. God bless, and peace out.